very strategically and be playing for, most notably, the late game. That's where you need to be doing all of your big plays at. So it's kind of interesting a lot of times that these teams will come in, be wanting to make a statement, but really have to just yank back on the reins and go, okay, let's slow it down. Let's make sure that we come in methodical, because by God, when you get a military base circle, you got to be methodical. Oath, very happy right now. Every other team, probably cussing a little bit.
Just a little. I'm pretty sure Genji are just going to bounce straight across that eastern bridge, get across, get maybe a prime position. They could sit towards maybe Novo if they want to. Probably not going to go as far as going towards a military base itself, purely because they'll know a team drops down here. They drop towards kind of Milta Town-ish, very close to Afrika Freaks. Let's have a look at what these teams do. Anyone else opting to move very early? Some of the teams that might be doing that are kind of locked in. This is a very, only one team goes to the military island out of this drop pack, at least for now. We aren't seeing a couple of those other teams that might flex towards it. So it's a pretty rough rotation route through this. If you decide you want to go early, there's going to be a lot of teams hanging around. There's Gen G, one of the first teams to make it across on that eastern bridge, just deciding to disconnect away from Milta and opt for that hit as quick as possible. Infantry deciding the western bridge will be for them. Gonna head on through, maybe sit towards very strong compounds on that western side if they fancy it. I don't know how much loot they've got. I'm seeing a level 1 vest, but also a barrel, so I mean, you're pretty much good to go. But they will get to kind of supplement that loot as much as they want, depending on how long they want to sit around here. I'd say it's a pretty fair late game spot, but this circle is a little bit more towards the east, kind of centralizing between the military compounds itself and that radio tower. So it can shift this way for sure, but I want to see what infantry opt to go towards. Again, we've seen a lot of teams that have gotten that beginning do very well late game.
The analyst desk hit on something really interesting this weekend whenever they were talking about stuff. This is a circle that we would normally see maybe an attempt at a bridge camp on, either the west or the east, one of the two. But with the drive-by meta, bridge camps are a little bit more scary than they used to be. Like, usually whenever you hold down, you kind of like set up one member pretty close to the bridge, one on high ground back away from it, another two members, depending on which bridge that you're kind of camping on, in a secondary catch position. Like the first one takes a couple of shots and the other two are supposed to take the long range shot, or the follow-up shots at it, and then the guy at high ground gets the polishing shots to get the downs. Whenever you hold in a defensive line like that in the drive-by meta, you are setting yourself up to potentially be destroyed if it goes wrong. So you're seeing a lot of teams not wanting to lean into any form of bridge camping right now, and instead leaning into a little bit more of a more firm defense strategy, kind of abandoning that. Maybe they'll set up somewhere to try to catch somebody if they rotate by them instead, as it's just a little bit more of a safe position to play rather than just having a car roll by, somebody seat swap on you, and suddenly you've lost two of your members.
I look, I'm 100% with you, and I'd say it's more viable towards the weekend, just because at least then the kills equate to points. For now, as we highlighted, it's a matter of survival. So you can frag out doing bridge camping if maybe you can convert against things like the drive-by, which has become so on meta. Speaking of course, heading across that eastern bridge. Similar time as multi-circle gaming, so it could be a bit of a scrap towards this. It looks like Lingdu will get there, I say first, but he will be in basically a 1v4 if he decides to stick around. I don't know if he's been called or seen this, but he's going to be in a spot of bother. He's only in a little buggy, and they're all going to be driving past. Here we go. Let's see that drive-by meta in action. No hesitation to go for this, and already Lingdu just deciding to bail out. Now, for meta, I'd say the better option is just to continue going. There's no real benefit to fighting here. You may get 4 kills. Let's say best scenario, you get 4 kills clean, you move on. But by that point, maybe the next team's coming down. And again, none of those points really mean anything coming off the back of those kills because they don't equate to points during the week. You want to survive. You want that strong position to defend from. You want to be predicting that circle. So, for now, meta make their way through. They'll be going towards Oath and Gen G, some of the first teams that were on towards the island. Infantry have gone a little further south.
Yeah, and this has kind of set up a peculiar situation. Whenever we're looking at how the fortifications have started to line up, Gen G has the high ground. They're really just trying to supervise over what's going on. You can see that Relo has also positioned back over towards, pretty separated out away from the rest of the other members of Oath. No surprise on a circle like this, we're starting to see a lot of Navy come into play. They trade back over towards the west. It's going to be Puchus that's already got a little bit of a foothold for the rest of the team to go ahead and make landfall at. Meanwhile, back over towards the east, it's going to be Afrika Freaks, and it's going to be Hikari that's kind of leading the way. You can see him way up there past the rock, kind of scouting out, making sure the fact that he can find a good position for his team to play from. The other side of this, Oh, the old tried and true lighthouse. Man, it's been a while since I've seen teams kind of come over here, hold down this position. Usually you see them kind of lean back more over towards the west, playing that side of it. But do note that DA is going to be a little bit back behind this and have a touch of vision on the positioning for it. But it's all about scouting and trying to figure out how you're going to approach this at the time. There's a there's a little bit of a problem though whenever you're playing this slowly as DA is doing. You're going to end up having a lot of teams that get a move into position for you. You can see T1 already came up, scouted it out, rotating in. Back behind this, Tienba is going to be coming in, depending on how they stall out. So Digital Athletics is kind of taken a number, for lack of a better term, and is letting a line of people go in front of them. And that means spot upon spot that's going to go ahead and be taken away from them. And that means the fact that they're going to have to be playing much more reactionary when they rotate in. Shoot to Kill and Ince, on the other hand, though, absolutely no pressure to come into the circle at the time, coming in very slow, wanting to make sure that they get fully looted up. And we often see this be a strategy on military-based circles. Let people go ahead and fight it out early stages. Don't really come in until you just absolutely have to. Usually at that point, most of the bridge camps have already collapsed or people have gotten bored and they decide to leave. So just kind of come in right alongside the blue. It takes a firm commitment to it, but Aqua 5 rolling right up back behind H-Win, trying to go for the spray onto him, but not going to connect.
No, and hopefully I'm back. There's a couple of internet gremlins out there, and hey, it's not even my fault, alright? It's not even me for once, I promise you. But good memes in chat, I appreciate it. Pansy has been knocked, hee, safe res. Very funny. Very funny, I appreciate it.
I mean, to be fair, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good.
Yeah, look, they've been doing some work, alright? Like, I'll give you some credit. Chat's getting funnier by the second. I'll just have a slight panic every time my, feed freezes. It's fine, we're good, we're okay. For now, have to have a little look. It seems as though now my mic is having problems. Do you know what? Things are just going well now. Hopefully for Liquid here, they have a better chance than potentially I do as it stands.
Well, you can see the risk in trying to set up these bridge camps. Tank being one of the forefront positions for this one. Multi-Circle Gaming not managing to get really anything out of that one. The quick shift back over towards the east is going to be how Liquid opts into playing this one. Then just going to be able to roll back over, pick up their teammates. I like how Jeems just opts into abandoning, moves back over, jumps off the bridge, feels like he doesn't want to have to deal with anything with it. Liquid's going to rotate through, and do note the fact that teams have already rotated away from Novo, so they should have a pretty friendly rotation. Next team that they could potentially come across naturally is going to be High Ground Gen G, and then after that, a Freak of Freaks, who's already made landfall back over towards the east.
Yeah, hopefully all the issues get resolved. Keep giving us your feedback, of course. I'd hate to see this marred by a couple of issues, but it does seem as though Na'Vi are making their way through, and Zenith not too far behind. I'm sure the last team across will be Ents, who dropped towards, I think, Zaki at this point. So, bit of a long road for them, but nothing that Ents aren't too worried about. I'm going to hit a quick reconnect. Hopefully you can enjoy casting alone for a second.
I gotcha. So with this, Ince is going to be coming in. Right back behind this, we can see that a couple of teams are already trying to get into positions. Na'Vi is going to go ahead and roll by. Tiemba does have vision on it, but not going to opt into taking shots. Sometimes you can see that there's a favorable situation or way to play this. Go ahead, herd teams away from you, just get the information to figure out how they're going to go. The other side of this, though, Shoot to Kill is going to be making an approach back over towards where we saw Multi-Circle Gaming holding down their little bit of a defensive line earlier. And on the western bridge, it's going to be Zenith and Ince rolling across the bridge at almost the exact same time. Zenith with a little bit of a faster track onto it. So Ince going to be rolling in, eating a little bit of blue damage. It is an early circle, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Real question is going to come into play is how does the circle favor them? A lot of teams already inside of vehicles expecting something pretty detrimental. And yes, a shift back over right on top of Gen G and the radio tower is going to be problematic for a lot of our Western teams, but that just starts the migration phase. Ince and going to be coming in back behind this with Zenith. Very happy that they're inside of vehicles, so they can just continue to roll on ahead. Tienba, T1, Na'Vi back over towards the south. DA, Sonics, Infantry, and Day Trade all already inside of vehicles. While you can see Shoot to Kill rolling through. It is just vehicle upon vehicle rolling along the southern area. Everybody trying to get an opted path back over towards the roads. And remember, drive-by meta is strong, but also Gen G has complete oversight. And everybody that's moving through these positions. Infantry trying to go rolling through here. Day Trade picks up one. Make it to, well, nope, just a quick flush onto that one. Sorry about that. So Infantry still trying to roll through. Longster's going to be rolling right by Pooch, who's on no life, rolling down the hillside. Day Trade now sets their sights back over towards DA. Doesn't get the down onto one, but it is just a run of ducks rolling right by the positioning. Day Trade opted into stopping, trying to go for kills, but are very quickly finding themselves surrounded by a lot of different teams. that are being forced to stop. Meta playing back over towards the north of Day Trade. That has really helped setting up this kill box, really trying to establish a death front here that nobody can move through, but it's going to be the reposition from D8 back over towards the south that is really harassing Day Trade and stopping them from getting too much out of this.
Yeah, and again, let me know if everything's messed up or if it's working fine, but it does look like DA are going to head out of there, try and readjust. You're right, they're under so much pressure from a highly aggressive Day Trade. Now, Na'Vi going to sit between this. Everyone getting towards that south side of the radio tower is now going to be pretty compressed and pretty compacted. This is the first time we've seen it, well, not the first, but one of the few times we've seen it move towards the east, and it looks like Sonic's Na'Vi are getting into a bit of a scrap.
Ooh, nice grenade to go ahead and take down one. Mime peeking back over into this. Besto trying to find the angle back over towards H-Win, and not going to connect just quite yet. Mime playing the defense over here for this toss and grenade back over, but it's going to be Tab that spots him out. Good headshot to connect onto him to get down onto it. Tiggleton back over here with H-Win. The last two members continuing to try to harass onto this, but new note, Zenith is going to be back behind this, providing a secondary firing line back over towards Navi's positioning. Meta doesn't have the best division back over here towards it, and Oath does not either, so it's kind of its own little contained fight. And most of the other teams have kind of calmed down for right now, so it's brought a little bit more time and, I guess, chill happening inside the circle, as everybody was very nervous making their approach inside the zone. Ints being one of the last ones that really just need to find some type of foothold, but they can kind of bounce forward just a little bit more, and there's like a dip or two that they can play in front of it.
Well, because you guys have been, doing tech support in chat, you're going to be treated to a code. Congratulations! Thank you very much for the, tech work, all of you out there. The second res has come in. I am going to be bleeding out pretty quick if I go down again, but for now we are good to go, apparently. Gen G at the top of the tower, but for you guys at home, grab the code while it's on your screen, and you should be good to go. Pop it in-game and get all the goodies available to you. Ents, look, if you've ever seen Ents for a long time around, the Finns will take their time. They'll eventually get to the circle when they please. They just slowly work in. They'll play that edge game until the cows come home. They have no problem doing as such, and I normally never worry about them just because of that. It does seem to be something I've just come to grow accustomed to. However, for now, Circle seeming to adjust, and it's going pretty close to those rocks.
Yeah, with the circle set up, no big surprise. Trying to get rid of as much water as possible. It's going to be our Western teams that are going to have the most struggles to deal with. Ints already on a little bit of a roll, going to opt into making a similar path that we saw earlier, where a lot of teams were struggling at. Going to be rolling right next to Day Trade, Meta, and that Na'Vi line that you can see. Rusted Mar leading the way back over along the Day Trade point. Looks like it's going to be no clear sight lines just quite yet. I think that Day Trade stepped back away from this one. Finally, Nuren's finding a little bit of an angle, but it's not going to be enough to really do that much just quite yet. Finally connects with a good shot back over towards Tiksu. But we're going to be continuing rolling through. Ints just kind of getting away with this right now. Finally getting a little bit of damage come back over towards him. Ints keeps rolling through the hillside. Oh, yeah, we got you back? I didn't know. Okay.
It seems like it. I'm back for now. Who knows? As said, seems that chat's paying more attention than anyone else. Multi-Circle Gaming catching a little bit of a glimpse towards T1, getting the knock towards that. And this is just going to be a bloodbath. I mean, everyone's going to be piling in. There is not much safety. Ents have actually slid into a really strong position considering where they were. They're actually in a really decent spot. Liquid trying to play out from Novo. I'm looking at who's in the best position. I'd argue someone like Meta, if they can play this, I say safely, in, air quotes that you can't see, it could be pretty good. Tiamba trying to catch the cross, but they're not quite in the circle yet themselves either. They've still got plenty to do.
Oh, Zenith. Just rolling through the hillside right now, all stacked back over. Rena gets the angle, tries to go for the spray towards him. Gotta be careful, there's a lot of people peeking outside of that car. It's kind of made these like clown cars a little bit more dangerous as well. You can go for the peek back over towards them, maybe spray one out, but there's so many people rolling through it. If you go for the peek, it could be your own death off of it. Going to be Zenith getting a nice strong dip that has oversight provided by Anonix. That's just going to be looking through there. And with that, I think that most teams are now inside the safe zone with the exception of one member of Tianba, and I don't think Sonics are too comfortable with their point, but you can see that Gen G just has so much vision on everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, they do have incredible vision. The issue obviously becomes on that hillside when you have to leave it, but as it stands, it's a pretty strong position. It's a pretty comfortable one that they can play from, unless, as said, the circle shifts away and they have to hit that rotation off the hill. You're very visible to everyone around. So you're seeing a little bit of pressure now mounting. Squeaky out in the open here has to be a little careful because Adder waiting in the grass going to find him almost for free. No trade there, no other pressure. Squeaky getting punished for that, trying to push out a little, trying to flex out a little on this, but that will garner the attention of Liquid, but you can see Adder seems very aware of that.
The West is where most of the teams are clustered at right now. Afrika Freaks and Infantry, the only ones that are kind of playing that southeastern area. If the circle does shift back over there, that could be just a disaster for so many teams. But no, it goes back over towards Gen G. T1's positioning, Ince as well, being rewarded with their very hectic push a second ago. Tig finding himself right now in a little bit of trouble. His Tab's just going to step back over, gets a knock onto him. H1, the last one up for his team, but you can see playing that outer wall, Na'Vi in a great gatekeeping position. So H1, not too much time left in this world right now as Meta's going for a reposition back a little bit closer towards the road leading up to Gen G and playing this very, very strong dip.
It is a good dip. You're slightly in the shadow of Gen G. Look over towards it, but that means that Gen G have freedom to do so. Pio's going to hit the deck to try and remain slightly unspotted, but they're pretty open to this. You can see those nades just being sent down. Star-Lord living in towards the kind of Harry Potter, and the Sonics have gone down in the meantime. Losing life at this point is a bit of a disaster. 16th place. Oh, frustrating, I'm sure, for them, but now this is where the bloodbath begins. All those teams on the outskirts by that mini compound just kind of underneath Radio Tower towards the west. Look at the bodies scattered across the floor. Smash just trying to get through, but his teammates are bleeding out by the wayside. Code Marco and Mert currently knocked. They need to stabilize on this side, get day trade out of there, and they've done just that. Res is now available. They can get themselves back and ready to go.
Looks like Gen G's PO did a little bit of an overpeak, and Meta quickly capitalized off of that one to make them a little bit more hesitant on leaning back that direction. You can see shift back over towards the west now. So trying to get a little bit more information onto this. We still have teams like Oath, Tienba, Zenith that are in a little bit of a struggle back over here towards the west. Tienba's trying to make their way up this hillside back over next to Oath, but could find themselves in a pincered position. Actually, Tienba's going to roll right next to Oath's positioning. Patcap's going for the spray back on one. Ince now looking back over towards Infantry. Teeksu does manage to find himself a nice little defense line for a little while, but it's a problem. Good shot coming out from Teeksu. Digger back over here on the other side of it, and Infantry down to one. Make that none. Infantry is out.
Okay, Ents holding on. That got a little dicey, but certainly bailed out by some of that mechanical ability that we know that Ents still maintain. Now let's take a look. The east and the west divide start to begin. Vast majority towards the western side of this, that road leading through. If you dare to cross it, you'll probably die for it. So you kind of have to just pick your poison at this point and hunker down. Na'Vi trying to work forward, but you're going to hear that car the DA just adjusted. So they should be aware this ditch, this little divot up top, is going to be preoccupied.
Yeah, it's, again, still clustering around the Radio Tower hillside. Be very careful. Good peek back over towards that one. Instantly spins back towards DA. Spots out another one. This is a solid push coming out right now. DA's in a little bit of trouble. And it's just Na'Vi with full-on aggression mode, just walking into the face of DA. No respect. They just know that they can win these firefights. DA finally gets one of retaliation. Looks back down towards him, trying to get as much damage as they can, but it's just hard right now. They can't seem to find the knocks. And Na'Vi is just dismantling them one by one.
Where's this Na'Vi been? Where's the aggressive Na'Vi been this whole time? Well, they're mostly dead. Mitraleius is going to try and continue that narrative. A 7 HP orange on the other side is not looking so hot. Does have meds, but you can see the pressure. Oh dear, this could be it. Orange, you got to be careful, bud. Yeah, bye-bye. Mitraleius even gets the flush for it too. Did manage to get, smash for him, so not only does he, eventually go down, but he does ruin DA's chances at the same time. Liquid starting to build their way out, near towards the newcomers to the lobby, shoot to kill.
Mitraleius is just so strong in these clutch positions. We regularly see him find some way to turn things back into his advantage. Sure, DA is in some trouble with him being the last one up, but just such a solid performance coming. And how is he getting away with this right now? Rolling through, there's still 34 people alive in this tiny circle, silently rolling along the hillside and going to find himself a shaft. Meanwhile, Team Liquid shoot to kill and a vying position back over towards the northeast. Liquid's got to be a little bit careful with this one, as there are a couple of teams that might opt into third party back behind them. Birdie Curdy looking back, trying to make a play along the hillside. Abyss is already down for Team Liquid, and wouldn't be surprised if we see the flush come out back over here. Just a second. It's going to be Mexi back over towards the top that doesn't want to peek this one just quite yet. And that's going to be most notably due to the other amount of teams that are around this positioning. It's just a little bit hazardous for Team Liquid. As you can see, they do have a hill behind them on one angle, but that's going to make it a little bit more problematic, as Ince does have a touch of vision back over here, and it's kind of making it a defining line with a very close shooting position upon position next to each other. And Zenith looking now back over towards Multi-Circle Gaming.
Yeah, they're going to have to lock this one down. Multi-Circle Gaming, though, they've spotted one of them, but there's a whole pack working their way up. Excellent nade from Poonage. Going to find Lingdu almost for free, but look at this slow creep coming in. Did they note this? It looks like Kickstart has become abundantly aware of the problems further ahead, how close they are. He's surely seen them now. Can he capitalize on this, though? Can he maybe make something out of this? Trying to keep his head down, maybe look for some support coming out. Evil Lee going for the res is pretty bold at this point.
I'm just curious to see how they're going to play this one through. Ince now just putting in work into the backside of Team Liquid. Tiemba is eliminated, and that is a ballsy res right there. Glib, if he just peeks over the hillside, should be able to just get both of them, but no, looks back over towards the left instead. And I cannot believe that we saw them try to get away with that one. Shoot the kill, no hesitation coming up off that one. Finally going to take down Team Liquid, and that means that they should be able to get the res back over towards Purdy, but it's going to be Multi-Circle Gaming having to get a little bit of distance away from Zenith's positioning, now being forced back over towards Shoot to Kill.
Okay, Shoot to Kill feel as though they've just come out of the fire and into the frying pan. Multi-Circle Gaming have just swung over here. They want to try and apply the pressure while they're still pretty hot, and you can see, speaking of heat, that Molotov doing some damage towards Tank. You have to hit the deck, hit that heal. Shoot to Kill, ready to go. Alo is right up and close, making sure that no one could get through. Putty Cuddy has been knocked, but the Multi-Circle Gaming pulling up into this. Here comes the Blue as well, just compressing them even further, and the circle moves away from both. They want this fight over and done with as fast as they can.
I love the sneaky reposition coming out from Multi-Circle Gaming. Grenades are now landing back over next to Pentalol. Luke 12 goes for a spray back through the smokes. Does manage to connect with Tank, take him down. We were talking about how strong Tank is, and is such a component coming up from Multi-Circle Gaming. Him going down is a huge problem. Summer now dropped as well. Lingdu creeping back over. Looks like he's going to commit to the res back over towards Tank. Not going to see anybody come through, but Evil Lee goes for the spray back over towards Purdy. Good connection onto it, and Purdy's gone down multiple times. That's going to be a very quick down for him, but Shoot the Kill is going to come up on top at the end of it and finally take down Multi-Circle Gaming.
Fantastic work from Shoot to Kill. This is their first game in the lobby, and they've come out swinging. Brilliant performance thus far. A Freak of Freaks, though, still pretty dangerous here. They've got plenty of players still standing. Ents do go down. They were down to, I think, either one or just two after a couple of scraps earlier on, struggling to convert. You got Oath towards the south, as said, a Freak of Freaks towards the east. Look, towards that radio tower, we've got scraps of Zenith, T1, DA, and Meta now. Oh, and look at Mitraleius just keeping quiet. He does not want to give away the game. He may get the knock on one, but the conversion, unlikely after the back of that, and kills do not equate to much in this. He wants the rest of the teams to pile in, keep that information flowing into his mind.
Zenith now starting to make their way down the hillside, as well as T1. Both of them having a little bit of trouble as they go, because it is just a back and forth peek and shoot battle. Grenades starting to rain back over towards Kickstart. You can see repositioning away from this. Now with Shoot to Kill having won that fight with Multi-Circle Gaming towards the east, that means that they have a little bit of a lip that they can play just on the other side of the road and potentially harass all of these teams playing in these different positions. Freak of Freaks back over towards the south has a similar option as well. So that's why you see T1, Zenith trying to get some distance from each other, trying to move into these low ground dips to buy themselves a little bit more time and some safety. So with this, Kickstart's going to be the perpetual thorn in T1 side, as we've got just a lot of weakened teams back over towards the northwest. Kickstart being the last member up for Zenith, 2 members for T1, last member for DA and Mitraleius, and then it's going to be just to the south of the Meta Gaming and their positioning. Kickstart's going to try to roll through, but that's a lot of blue damage to start that one out. And Adder, that's about the freest kill you're ever going to find.
Yeah, he'll take that all day long. For now, I'm looking at... I would say Freak of Freaks are in a really strong position, but this is still such a treacherous circle. I mean, look how much open space there is. It is, of course, the east and the west divide at the moment. The west side has a couple of teams in it, but they're not the full 4. So my mind kind of then looks towards a Freak Freaks, even maybe Shoot to Kill. The way they've been playing has been fantastic. They are down to 3, however. A Cad desperate for one of these shots to land, hoping for the best here. But Oath staying slippery, not allowing any freebies to be picked up.
This circle is just rough. I mean, where do you play? If it moves away from the hillside, Meta, T1, Mitraleius are in a lot of trouble. There you go. It's going to go right back over next to a Freak of Freaks. Hikari in a great position right now. But the problem with where a Freak of Freaks is playing is they're going to have some issues. You know that Oath is going to potentially try to wrap around back over towards the south, and Shoot to Kill is going to get vision whenever they start moving along the hillsides towards the north. Meta, we see the last member for DA, the last two members for T1. They have the biggest struggle, though, because no matter where they go, there's no cover for them. They're just going to have to fight their way through this one. And unfortunately, since they're already damaged, they're just going to be just destroying each other instead of going out of the targets that are going to be trying to gatekeep them from making it to safety.
I don't know how Meta get out of this cleanly. Circle being where it is, this has to play to a Freak of Freaks unless they lose track of Oath potentially, but Oath is so busy looking this way. Already saw those kind of cautionary shots being thrown across, but that's mostly towards T1. Mitraleius is still the snake in the grass here, waiting patiently. Could have been squashed, but no. T1 opt to go towards a northern swing around and actually go towards Shoot to Kill this time.
There is that little bit of a ridge that they can maybe make. Sparking tries to get the shots, but not going to connect with him. Luke 12, this should be a pretty easy grenade toss. Going to bounce a little bit too far. So with that, the spin just doesn't go in his favor. Going to go ahead and give that one another try. That one lands a lot more accurately there. So that's going to go ahead and connect over towards Star-Lord, leaving just one member up. Adder is going to have to fight himself against all of Shoot to Kill that is still up and active. There's nowhere to go, but guess what? We're starting to see a little bit more control come back over towards Shoot to Kill. The question comes into play. What is DA? What's Meta going to do? Meta says, hey, we know where a firefight's at, and we're just going to roll in full on gusto. They just jump out, start going for the sprays into it, and that's already one member of Shoot to Kill down.
But look at the damage that he caused. They are weak. Meta not looking so pretty, but Shoot to Kill still staying alive with at least one. They still need to stabilize. You can see Sparking here, but you can see Penta trying to find him, but no, the time. He couldn't quite find him in time, and Meta just leapfrog into position. A Freak of Freaks now become the kings of this lobby, full standing, good positioning on the circle. Unless Oath can somehow maybe get pack caps back up or a couple of knocks. This looks like a good Korean team finding an early win here, something that was evading them in the early parts of this tournament.
I mean, they have so much control, and everybody, all the other teams are just doing all their work for them right now. Oath trying to commit to that res, but it's going to be very hard. Pat Caps just kind of jumps himself back into the zone, and maybe they're going to try to commit back over here for it again. But with everything going on, there's just a very damaged chain resing Oath that is drawing a lot of a Freak of Freaks attention. That is opening up a little bit more movement for Meta towards the north, and maybe they can find some way to make this work. But don't forget about a boy, Mitraleius, that's back over there and can do some damage really into the backside of Meta, depending on how this is playing. But Oath just can't get a member up, man. Every single time they res somebody goes down. Then they commit back over towards the res yet again. And it's just a god. He's just getting frustrated. You can see just spraying into smoke. It's like, why won't they die?
Okay, who do we have left in this one? As it stands, it's a Freak of Freaks just tearing this lobby up. They've been doing damage, barely converting kills, but Oath fall to the wayside, and we're down to just 2 players standing against basically a Freak of Freaks in fine form. Now, this is going to need something special from Meta's remainder or DA's.
Sparking has a lot of clutch potential whenever it comes into these late game fights. Mitraleius still back behind him. A Freak of Freaks trying to make a move back over towards the safe zone, but Sparking is trying to solo gatekeep out 2 different members. Repositioning into this, making this play right along the southern point of the circle. Remember, he started back over towards the north and just pushed back over into here. This is confidence coming out from Sparking right now. He feels like he has the opportunity, and he has the play, and he is trying to capitalize off of it. Meanwhile, a Freak of Freaks trying to lean into their numbers right now, trying to stay in safety together, hoping in fact that they can go with a double peek back towards position. Sparking now finding himself in a lot of trouble. Does get the spray coming back over towards him on no life. Has to retreat from this position. 2 members of a Freak of Freaks trying to make the play back over towards him. No retreat, he's behind, but it's going to be EJ that connects into it. And then it's just Mitraleius, the last one up. Digital Athletics.
Vest broken, helmet not looking so hot. DA, look, any other day of the week, I'd say potentially. Oh my god, he's got EJ. Hold on. There's a chance in this match room. It's a 1v1 now.
Opportunity popping off for him. He's been so patient. We've seen him play from such difficult positions, holding it together for his team right now. It all comes down to the chicken dinner. Who's going to qualify? Who's going to move on to the weekly qualifiers? And you can see it's going to be a COD going for the peek off to one side, takes a chunk of damage. Mitraleius is playing this so patiently at the time. Keep in mind, Akkad is close to the blue zone, so whenever it starts to close in back behind him, he's going to have to move for us. Mitraleius, who's had everything working against him, finally might have the opportunity to take this one.
He's got barely any bullets to work with, Matrim. He's down to 8 bullets here. That's all he's got. 7, 6. If a cat just plays this out, Mitraleius is going to have no ammo to work with, at least with the mini. He'll have to switch out to that barrel.
Ooh, makes the switch back over, spots out, goes for the spray, connects with him as he jumps over towards it, and Digital Athletics gets this somehow. Some way the clutch comes through in the end.
Unreal work from DA, and look, the amount of times people will look at them and say, oh, they're just so passive, they just prone, they play, oh, that's not how we want to see it. Look what that just did. That got them through to the weekly finals, and we know what damage they can cause once they get through the week. Great performance from DA, showing them exactly why they play the way they do. Qualifying in game 2 here, barely getting into this, and still making it out.
There were so many things that were going against Mitraleius. I mean, we saw him lose so many of his team members early. He was having to play in dangerous position upon dangerous position, but still finding a way to play through this. We saw the fact that he did have opportunities to go for early kills, but was afraid of the attention that would draw back his direction, and had faith in himself that he could find the opportunity inside this. And look, we had 2 very strong solo clutch players coming through at the end.
Yes.
Sparking and Mitraleius. And they both went for the play because they had confidence in themselves. And by their powers combined, they managed to take down the last 2 remaining members of a Freak of Freaks. And just, I mean, I'm just astounded by that. This is what you want to see.